Welcome, everyone, to this first in a special series of presentations by Bridges.Academy about Huna with Michael Longshore. My name is Patrick Haggard with Bridges.Academy, the other Pat. We are excited to share Michael's wisdoms and gifts of these topics with you in these unprecedented times in order to bring the benefits of Huna forward to as many people as possible. We hope to pique your interest in what Huna is about and perhaps allow you to find some calm in the current storm. Welcome, Michael, and thank you for sharing your vast understanding and practical practice of Huna with us.
Oh, good afternoon. Pleasure to be here.
Glad to have you. So can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your Huna practice?
Yes, I will. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Longshore. I'm 72 years old. I live here in the mainland in the United States, not in Hawaii. I've been in relationship with my life partner for the past 52 plus years. Nice. I have children, grandchildren. Most of my grandchildren now are grown and living their lives and enjoying their journey. I've been involved with the Huna for these past 25 to 30 years. Actually started when I was 10 years old in the third grade. I stood up in my classroom and told a story about Hawaii. Well, I was known to at that time have a pretty good imagination, so I believe the teacher allowed me to tell my little story, but it got to a point about my father and I fishing in the ocean and a volcano erupting and the village burned to the ground. About that time, the teacher put me in the corner. Well, that got my attention. I was in that corner till 7 o'clock at night. The janitor found me, brought me home to my parents, who were really worried and beside themselves. And after thanking the janitor for bringing me home, they made it clear to me that I was never ever to tell another story like that. So like a lot of kids, I shut that part of my memory down. Well, 40 years old and 30 years later, I'm a student at the Berkeley Psychic Institute, my wife and I were, in Sacramento, California. And I stopped one day and was asked by a young lady who was a student reader. She said, "May I give you a reading?" And I said, "Well, sure." And I sat down and she started giving me a past life reading. She said, "Well, I want to go back to a time in Hawaii when you and your father were out on a fishing boat and the volcano erupted and the lava flowed down the side of the volcano and burned the village to the ground. And why this is important for me to tell you this is you were a kahuna in that lifetime and you blamed yourself in that lifetime for not having warned the village, for not having foreseen that volcano was going to erupt." And she said, the message is, all these years you carried that guilt complex around yourself, and it's not helped you, but it's actually held you back from promoting your healing practice. Well, I had my full attention. I went right back to the third grade in my mind. I said, "See, teacher, see, it really did happen." Anyway, enough about myself.
Okay.
I enjoyed sharing that with you. Thank you.
That was a great story, Michael. I know it's kind of a big question, but can you tell us what is Huna?
That the Huna is, by definition, a secret knowledge, secret information, something that's withheld, something that's disguised, something that is not maybe plain in view. Max Freedom Long, who coined that expression out of the English or out of the Hawaiian dictionary, chose that to describe this golden thread that he discovered while he was teaching back in the early 1920s. He was teaching in Hawaii, and he heard from some of the local people that there were these practitioners of a secret knowledge. one that they practiced for healing work, and many other things. They controlled the wind, the weather. If they needed to go out and catch fish, they could bring fish into their nets. A lot of really interesting things. Well, as this evolved in Max's work, he coined it the Huna. But the Huna truly is a golden thread that's woven through all religions, all traditions, and mostly all practices.
Wow. Cool. So what are some of the basic tenets of Huna?
Well, our primary tenet is to do no harm. We believe that much as many of our great teachers who walked the face of this earth have in their own way expressed similar, be good to your neighbors, do unto others as you would do unto yourself. Our core belief system is to do no harm in what we think, do, or say. In fact, today in modern Hawaii, the traditionalists who have their schools are raising the children up, and the children are grounded in things like, how many meanings does the word aloha really have? All these other traditions, but also to think or say or do nothing that would intentionally harm another person.
Is Huna similar to, is it a religion, or is it a way of being, or is it a way of becoming? How is it manifested?
That's a great question also. I've given that a lot of thought over these many years. And the best that I can say about that is I consider it, for me, an ideology.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a spiritualist by trade, trained, certified, ordained in the spiritualist church. That goes back into my early 20s. I was raised a Christian Scientist. I grew up in the Christian Science metaphysical way of thinking. Became a spiritualist, went on to become Catholic, was baptized in the Catholic Church. I've been saved in a lot of other churches, probably needed it at that time. And I say that with all great respect. I'm all those things, and I'm more. Like everyone else out there, we are many, many things. And why I felt so comfortable with Huna is it allows me to see the world through an ideology. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of understanding how I'm put together and how I relate to others and to all these other practices, if you will. But it's not a religion.
Okay. That sounds like right up Bridges' forte here. That's the things that we enjoy here at Bridges. So how has it helped you?
Well, I used to be about 4'6", but now I'm 5'9". That was the first major healing that I experienced.
Good one.
That's a good one. Well, actually, it's helped me to come to terms with several addictions. I used to smoke, and that was about 40 years ago. I quit that. And I had my last drink of alcohol about 38 years ago. In fact, I remember the month and the day and the year. And those were profound changes. So the Huna, along with my study of alchemical hypnotherapy and my other practices and the people that I would look to, turn to, who worked with me on my journey, helped me to achieve those two goals. I've traveled the country teaching and training people in the Huna, and I've been able to experience through their stories, through their journey, profound healings and profound blessings in their lives. And again, nothing about them changed. They remained a Catholic, a Baptist, a Jew. They remained a farmer, a mercantile person, a banker. They remained a citizen of the world. And yet they had this new way of thinking. And that way of thinking was understanding how we're all put together.
Nice. Very cool. So how can it help me?
How can it help you? Well, right now, and this is something I'm really, really energized about, it can offer you a way of coping, managing all of this information that's currently around us about coronavirus and the pandemic, the global pandemic, and the financial tribulations, the health issues, the social issues, the financial issues. How do we find ourselves functioning in that environment? Well, most of the experts, and I'm referring to medical people, having once been a nurse and myself and worked in the hospice field, and also being a certified EKG technician, I pay attention to certain medical reports, and it's pretty common knowledge now in the medical community that stress suppresses the immune system.
Mm-hmm.
And if we allow it to, that stress, which can come about by just watching the evening news or morning news, that stress can create what's called a cortisol spike. Mm-hmm. That cortisol spike suppresses the immune system. Mm. Well, in the Huna way of thinking, I mean, it's like a red light going out flashing saying, excuse me, this is just what I don't want at this time of a pandemic, is a suppressed immune system.
Wow. True.
That's one of the ways you could use it right now.
Well, that's definitely an important one for everybody right now. It's definitely a little energetic out there, let's put it that way. And people are, reacting in all different kinds of ways, from humor to pure panic. And I think it's a good thing for all of us to maybe take a look at this Huna as a tool to move forward in who we are and take care of this stuff that's around us right now.
Absolutely.
So I have another question here. Do we need any special tools, or does it take a long time to learn to use it effectively?
Well, let me say you probably are already practicing some form of Huna. If you're meditating, if you have created a space for yourself where you are able to be alone with your own thoughts, listen to those thoughts, pay attention to maybe how your body's feeling, what inspirations you may be receiving, enlightenment, but perhaps you're a person who dreams, and you wake up and you say, wow, that was an amazing dream. Now I know what to do with that question I've been dealing with. You may find yourself just naturally practicing Huna. What we've done, what Max and others have done with the Huna, is they created a language, a way of communicating these thoughts and ideas that most of us as Westerners, we're not Hawaiian. We're not out here to say, I mean, I used to work in Hawaii. I had clients there. I understand some of, I love Hawaii, but we're not here to say we are Hawaiian. But we have found that they were keepers of a secret knowledge, as well as others. And we learned that through the study of Huna. Where did that knowledge come from? What was the knowledge that they possessed? And we put it into terms that we as Westerners, among others, can basically take a look at it and say, how do I make this work for me? What can I do with it? Is it practical? Does it take a long time? You and I are practicing Huna right now. The way we do that is we've made a connection, even across the internet. It's called an Aka cord. Some people call it a silver cord. Some people call it, they may have another name for this energy, but it's a connection. And in that connection, we are energetically connected. And there's a part of you and I that are really, communicating more than just with words. We're feeling each other. We're getting maybe illumination, insights, what have you. I don't want to go too far with that, but it's fun. It's practical. We believe that something like the Huna, if there's no results, probably a waste of time. So we encourage people to be involved in things that produce results. Not, oh, gee, I hope this happens someday. I mean results right now.
Cool. Nice. Thank you, Michael. That's wonderful. How about one of your really fun stories about Huna?
Fun stories. Okay.
Metaphors, parables, your magic with that stuff.
Well, there was a time when my wife and I were going to go to Florida, and we were driving. We decided to go across the country and drive to Florida, and didn't know I'd eventually live there one day. But I was earning extra money to pay for the trip. So I was painting our neighbor's house, the neighbor living next door. Well, the house was almost finished. I'm going to collect the money and we're going to get on the road and go to Florida. And lo and behold, a rainstorm appears. I said, well, I won't be able to finish my job. I don't know what I'm going to do. I was a little bit stressed about this. My neighbor was looking up and saying, I don't know if you can finish the job. I'd be glad to pay you, but not until you're done. And I said, well, we're leaving, in the morning for Florida. He said, okay, do what you're going to do. I said, okay. So I used Huna in a very simplistic way by being able to go out and make an offering to the creator, the supreme being, and say very simply, some people might call it a prayer, please allow me to finish this painting job. And if it's in everybody's best interest, and this is kind of a piece of Huna, we frame things where if it's in everybody's best interest, not just mine, I'm not just asking for me. Can the rain go around us? Can it not rain? May I be allowed to finish this job? Well, the wind started blowing and the clouds parted and made a V completely around this person's home. That person, who was a retired university professor, came out, stood on their porch. His name was Harry. And Harry said, my God, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. I'm standing there with my paintbrush saying, I don't believe it either, but I'll take it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, great.
So that's a very simplified, and maybe you or others have had situations where you've prayed also, or from deep down in your core, you were able to bring up an emotion. And in our training, we learn what is that emotion, where does it come from, how do we work with it, how do we make it a useful tool? Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. And I have seen a few of those miracles myself, and the things that Pat and I've done over the years together. Michael, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your great parables with us. I love those things. In our next video, in our next installment of this series, Michael will share with us his wisdom and insights on the 3 cells of Huna. Please check out Michael's upcoming Fundamentals of Huna class, which is coming around the corner here, at our website, www.Bridges.Academy. Thank you for watching it here on Bridges Academy.